All right, what's going on, everybody? Mike Heck here from MMAfighting.com on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. Now, normally you get my collection of interviews throughout the week on What the Heck, which drops on Thursday mornings, but we want to do something a little different here. As joining me right now is Max Rohskopf, who made his UFC debut on Saturday night against Austin Hubbard. It's become a huge story in the MMA world, but I wanted to get Max on here to talk about a number of things. First of all, Max, thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and it's good to be here.
Most importantly, man, how are you feeling physically on this Tuesday afternoon?
Physically, I'm fine. You know, I got a little cut on my eye. But yeah, physically, I'm good.
All right, well, that's good to hear.
No complaints, no injuries, no anything like that. As a lot of people know, it's probably a little bit more of the mental side.
Right. And to sort of like lay the groundwork here, and Max is aware of this. We spoke via email yesterday. You gave me like a brief statement about everything that went down Saturday night from your perspective. You gave a similar statement to the Body Lock that got posted on their website. But I do want to go back a little ways if we could, because this is the first time you and I have had the chance to speak. And entering the fight on Saturday, you were 5-0, all submission wins. You haven't been out of the first round since your pro debut in February of 2018. That fight you finished in the second round. So I guess my first question is, when did this whole journey begin for you? Because fighting in a cage is much different than playing most other sports. What got you to the position to say to yourself, you know what? I want to fight for a living.
I don't know. I've answered that question in other interviews before and stuff. And there was like a general idea of when I kind of thought I knew I wanted to like fight in the UFC and all that shit. Right. But, you know, I started fighting for my life when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Just how I grew up and stuff. There was times where I had to literally fight for my life, and so, you know, like when it comes time to, you know, I gotta kind of like make a decision about, you know, what I want to do next. And at the end of the day, I don't know how to do anything else. And so it's kind of, you know, it's just from the beginning. Really, it's been from the beginning.
So when you say that you were fighting for your life 4 or 5 years old, what do you mean by that?
I'm saying like I was like 4 or 5 years old when I looked down the barrel of a shotgun. My dad wasn't the greatest, and I actually saved my mom's life when I was 5. And without getting into too many details, it's just I've seen a lot of hard shit, and all the stuff that's going on right now and how I'm feeling right now isn't anywhere close to as bad as it's been. And so it's just I've always been a fighter, and it is what it is.
All right, I appreciate you opening up like that. I won't dig into it anymore. But going back to sort of where you came from as a fighter, you had 3 fights in 2019, all first-round submission wins. I did want to ask you about one of those wins because my colleague, Alex K. Lee, he does a column with our very own Jed Meshew, and it's called Missed Fists. And they go back to different fights on the regional scene. They find all these great submissions. And he said personally to ask you about the Jonathan Morris submission at Final Fight Championship 40. And his exact question was, what was that? Because, quote, that S was sick. So what was that submission that, I guess, going back and watching it, I can only describe it as like a choke / spinal lock of some kind?
You know, it was stuff like that submission is, and that people that I've trained with for the last few years, that's what people who know me are used to seeing every single day in the gym. And I think that's a big reason why there's been a lot of hype on me. And it's just something I made up on the spot. It's nothing, I definitely didn't practice it.
It's pretty wild. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you guys go back and watch it. But you go on to submit Zach Zane. That guy's a super tough out to round out the year. And then you got a first round submission win for Titan FC in February. So at that point, you're 5-0 with 5 finishes. Where did you think your career was heading at that point? Like, did you think a Contender Series fight was coming your way, or were you beginning to believe that, you know what, I could just bypass all of that and get right into the UFC?
Yeah, I was. We were planning on Contender Series in August, but then with this whole pandemic thing, I definitely, and with fights being in Vegas, I definitely thought that there was going to be a possibility that I got a short notice fight, and so I tried my best to kind of prepare for that, but had a couple little injuries where I wasn't able to train as far as I can. And so leading up to like when I got the call to fight, I'd only really been training like hard for a couple days, but that's not in any way to me, I don't think that should matter. I wanted to be a guy. I still want to be a guy that will show up and fight no matter what, regardless if you got a camp or any of that shit. Because I think that's a little bit overlooked. But yeah, I wasn't exactly sure. I was just going to go with the flow, and just based off of how I felt in training, I thought I was ready.
Austin Hubbard was initially supposed to fight Joe Selecki on Saturday night, and Joe was forced out of the fight with undisclosed reasons, and you were given the opportunity. So let's talk about that. Like, when you were offered this fight with Austin, when exactly did you put pen to paper?
I think Sunday. And I just want to say this real quick. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to say it, if you're going to ask or whatever, but I actually think it's absolutely like disgusting that people aren't talking about Austin and his performance, and like his back was against the wall. Like, if I went out there and beat him, he would have been 1-3 in the UFC, and that wouldn't have looked good. Like, his stories, like, I don't know. Like, no one really should be fucking talking about me. They should be talking about Austin and his performance and how awesome he did. If anything, it should be hyping him up more that he beat a dude that had a lot of hype, and maybe that's all it is just hype.
Yeah, we actually, my colleague Damon Martin actually spoke to Austin Hubbard, so there will be a feature coming out on him because, you know, he's a big part of the story as well, and he deserves some shine, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yes, 100%. He definitely deserves to. I think it's disgusting that people are talking more about me and not about him.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% on that. So you get the deal, you put pen to paper. I mean, this is what you wanted. And Dana White said after the fight that, you know, your manager kept hitting up the matchmakers about you. Give this kid a shot. He's a killer. So when you found out about it, you must have been like, were you beside yourself? Or you're just like, oh man, like, we're fighting in 5 days?
You know, I had a lot of emotions. I wasn't able to. I still haven't really processed them. And yeah, like my manager and like my coaches, and like if you've ever been in the gym with me, there's like kind of like fucking legends and like stories that people say, and like I think what my manager did was 100% spot on. He's been in the sport long enough to know if someone has the ability and the talent to do it. I've been around guys that have won world titles in multiple sports, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, MMA, and everyone who's around me will say that actually has been around me and has watched me train and knows that I have the skill and the ability to do it. I just didn't show it on Saturday. So it's to no one's fault that they put me in that situation, except for mine. If that even makes sense. It's from what I've shown in practice and training and all my other fights, I should have been in there. I just didn't prove it in front of everyone else. So it's no one's bad juju, or like no one should be getting flack for that.
Yeah, I was talking to Justin James a little while ago, and he was singing your praises about training with you and the work you put in with him in the gym. And with that being said, it's been stated that and you mentioned it yourself that you were dealing with a couple of injuries. Turf toe has come up. And as someone who has had turf toe back in his high school football days, it doesn't sound like much just hearing it, but it sucks. It is annoying as hell, especially when you're trying to like jump or push off of it. It is a pain in the ass as well as the toe. But how much was that injury hindering you in the gym or in training? Like, was it anything where there may have been any hesitation on your end to take the fight?
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. It hindered me in the gym for a few weeks, and it has for the last like year or so. But as far as in the fight, not at all, and it actually has nothing, absolutely zero to do with my performance. It's I've done this my whole life. I've self-boycotted myself. I've always, even when I was wrestling in high school, I was the best guy in the state. Ended up getting third because I self-boycotted myself. I was one of the best guys in the country in college. Was never an All-American when it counted because I was always kind of telling myself that for whatever reason I don't deserve it. And then that's exactly what I did in my fight with Austin. Shit got hard. And I basically told I looked at my coach and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore not because I didn't want to be there, but because I didn't think I deserved to be there.
To kind of add to that, when you signed the dotted line, you signed it on Sunday and you're just trying to really get in the swing of things. What were those like 5 or 6 days like for you? Because you can only do so much. Like, I don't care who you are, but you're trying to get as ready as you can. You have to cut weight. Was it like a blur getting to the scale on Friday and then the fight on Saturday?
No. And then everything that I kind of prepared up for leading up to the fight, I pretty much fucking ignored as soon as the bell rung. And then my weight cut's easy. I live in the gym, so like I don't really get fat and out of shape. So I made weight. It's probably the easiest weight cut I've ever had, to be honest. And but you know, like it's easy to say that when still didn't go out and perform or do anything like that. So yeah, I don't really. It wasn't a blur. I was there and ready to go. At least I thought.
So let's get to Saturday, because I went on Twitter before the fight started and I posted something to the effect of, it'll be interesting to see what Max's demeanor looks like in this fight, being 25 years old, first UFC fight on super short notice. And as the broadcast team stated, you looked as relaxed as could be. When Bruce Buffer was introducing you, you looked cool as a cucumber, and that stuck out to me right away. What was the walk to the cage like for you? Did it feel like any other fight, or did it feel any differently once you got in there?
Yeah, so I've done that for pretty much all my fights because I've somewhat been aware of how I perform at my best, and it's staying calm and being understanding and knowing what's happening and stuff like that. And so I do try to stay as calm as I possibly can, because once I lose that, my Achilles heel and my weakness is what happened on Saturday.
First round, very competitive. You took his back standing. You landed a beautiful belly to back slam. You got the fight back down to the ground. You were working submissions, ended on the feet, and the round ended with you landing a nice right hand before the horn sounded. When the round ended, did you feel like that you done enough to win the round? Because I actually thought you won the round. The judges didn't see it that way, but did you feel confident that you won the first round?
After the first few seconds, I don't really know what happened. I knew I got the takedowns or whatever, and then I wasn't very active on the ground. I don't think, at least not what I'm used to doing. Yeah, I don't really know how they would have scored it, but yeah, I'm not sure if I won or not.
Is that typical for you in all of your fights, that you just, after the first couple of seconds, things just kind of I wouldn't say hazy, but you just kind of get into a zone and sort of block out the X's and O's of everything?
No, that's not me at all.
So this is a different feeling altogether.
Yeah. Even like last, there's a few sparring sessions ago, I was getting Shark Tanked or whatever. So like when people come in and like my coaches are like, they get like, they're like confused because I got fresh guys coming in on me nonstop in practice, and I'm staying like calm and composed and like not really getting tired and having a really good training session, considering a lot of fresh guys are coming in, and like stuff doesn't rattle me and things like that. But then for whatever reason, when I was in there, everything just kind of fell apart for me, and I think I got a lot of mental problems that I have to fix moving forward.
Have you gone back and watched it at all?
No.
I understand. I was just curious. I didn't know if there was anything you saw. So basically, like when you actually go back and watch the fight, it's going to be like a whole different thing for you because you really don't even remember most of the fight, right?
I remember a lot of it, but I don't know whether or not like I won or not the first round. But I think I got 2 takedowns. I landed a few good shots. I threw some decent stuff, and then I think was that the round I went for the heel hook.
Yeah, second round.
Yeah, I had that. That was the second round.
I think so. Yeah, the Eminari roll. You're going for heel hooks, and then he got back to his feet. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. I thought I fucking had that. And then yeah, see, like I thought I did that in the first round, but I wasn't 100% sure. I remember things that happened, but I don't remember chronologically and shit like that. But yeah.
So they're just like highlights for you, like little pieces that come up. When was go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go.
No, I was gonna say because you mentioned on the stool when you were talking to your coach that besides saying that you were done, one thing that you kept saying was, "I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it." When was there a moment in the fight where you realized that you didn't have it? Like, when did you have that realization?
Like the first 2 minutes.
Man.
And that just comes from me and people who know me and who have talked to me are going to understand this kind of deeply. I'm so ambitious that walking around like just day to day, like I'm almost never happy. Like I'm always trying to do better or get better, and my weakness is sometimes I will try to run away from what's happening because I kind of am hurting a little bit every single day, trying to do something that I want more than anything. And it's hard sometimes when you have to see that things aren't the way you want it to be.
So it's kind of hard for you to smell the roses, I guess.
Yeah.
At all. And it's unfortunate because you mentioned Austin Hubbard not getting enough shine, and a lot has been made about the conversation between the second and third round between you and Robert Drysdale, and you keep saying you're done. He's trying to motivate you to continue on, and the fight ends up being stopped in the end. And you and Robert have an incredible relationship. He knows you better than anybody else does. And one thing that perhaps gets missed through all of this, and I initially missed it as well, for being honest, is that when the officials ask before the round is about to begin if you're ready, not only do you say you want to call it, but Robert also says that you want to call it. So it's not like he shoved you into the octagon to keep fighting. So it seems to me, and I know most may not agree with me on this, that he tried to motivate you to keep going. When the time ran out, he understood what you were feeling and said that you were done. So is it safe to say that no matter what Robert said in that moment, you were done and you weren't going back out there?
Nah, if the commission wasn't there, he would have got me back, I think.
You think so?
I would have went out there and we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think the man fucking gave me a place to live when I needed somewhere to live instead of out living in my fucking car. And I actually didn't want anything to do with MMA until I knocked on his door and I was like, "Hey man, I need help and I want you to coach me." And he's done nothing but be there for me and do everything he can for me. And so for people to come out and say that he was wrong in that situation, there's literally no debate or discussion about it. At the end of the day, unless someone wants to have like at the end of the day, I'm the one paying him. And that's what I wanted him to do. And that's what I expected him to do. And if I was cornering someone else, that's exactly what I would have done. And there's really no discussion about it. Rob did the right thing, and he's always done right by me.
How close were you to just saying, "Fine, I'll go"?
Pretty.
So on like a scale of 1 to 10, like a 6 to 7 range, was it that close?
I don't know. I don't really know how to quantify that.
Fair enough. And you mentioned it too. Like he's taken the criticism. He's even talked about it with ESPN and other outlets. He did a 30 or so minute interview with Ariel Helwani yesterday. And one of the things that stuck out to me from that conversation was the fact that he said that you actually called him on Sunday to check in on him to see how he was doing. What was that conversation like?
It was hard because it was just hard because I know he's put a lot of time and effort into me, and he believes in me, and I actually deleted all my social media, and like I haven't really seen anything other than like one or two things that people have sent me, or like my best friend or some of my friends have talked to me about. So I heard about it, and I immediately was just like, I want to make sure Rob's okay, and that's a big reason why I want to come and why I'm talking to anyone in general, because he doesn't deserve that at all. He only deserves praise for helping me get to where I got and trying to do everything he can for someone like me that just asked for it and for not really anything in return of value.
I have to say that one of the more shocking developments of Saturday night, and this is something that I was seeing a lot on social media, was like, oh, wait till Dana White gets up there and talks about this. And we know Dana, he's got zero filter at all. He had your back in all of this. Like, he didn't go in there and crush you like many people thought he would. He actually defended you in a way. And, you know, I don't know if you saw this or not, but whether you did or you didn't, just finding out that Dana White, who has been a very harsh critic of fighters over the years, very critical of Curtis Blades and his performance, even in a win, That had to mean something to you, did it not?
I haven't really met him or talked to him yet. So yeah, it felt good that he had my back. I don't know exactly what was said though, so I can't really. It's really hard for me to comment. I haven't heard a single word come from his mouth, so I don't know exactly what he said or anything like that. But it's a nice consolation prize, I guess.
Yeah, basically he said in essence that, anyone that's giving you crap for asking out of the fight, they shouldn't be, in so many words. There's a lot of other words that I'm not going to say right now. Some very harsh words with my 7-year-old upstairs, but he defended you on this. He said no one should be giving you any grief whatsoever. So there you go. But hindsight, man, especially in MMA, it's a fickle beast, and I can't think of any sport that creates as much second guessing as mixed martial arts does. So, in hindsight, do you regret taking this fight?
No. Like I said earlier, I've been a fighter my whole life, and every single thing that I know, I've had to learn the hard way because I'm a fucking hardhead. And I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for the UFC giving me the opportunity. I'm thankful for Austin and his performance. I wish I could sit back and say, I wish I could sit back like, yeah, I wish I didn't take the fight. I wish things would be different or whatever. But I actually say this to my kids that I coach. Great things don't happen from easy things. And this shit's fucking hard. And it's only going to make me better.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got like a decade's worth of experience in 10 minutes, really, at the end of this. I mean, it's probably going to take a few minutes for you to, a little while to get over all of this, but still, you're getting like a decade's worth of lessons in one fight. So, I mean, I don't know if this is a silver lining or not, but you can only grow from this, right?
Yeah, no. And I think, sorry, let me get out of my thoughts real quick. I think I lost my train of thought there for a second.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't. Koa! You dingus? Hey, Koa! Sorry.
Your dog's got your back too, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that it's just up to me now to take those lessons and put them to use.
So I guess the big question right now is like, how do you implement those lessons? Like, where do we go from here? Like, clearly this is not how you drew it up, Max. And to quote another Max in the fighting world, it is what it is. You can't turn back time. But do you think you're going to get another shot at the UFC?
Yeah, I think I do.
Would you be okay if that didn't happen?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that too.
You've given me a lot of time here, Max, and I really appreciate it. But I want to sort of give you the floor here to wrap this all up in a bow. What's the message for everybody? Fans, fellow fighters, members of the media, et cetera. Like, a lot has been said since Saturday, and I think you've said a lot here. Maybe there's some things that we didn't get to. What would you like to say to everybody? What's the message before we wrap this up?
Just keep on keeping on.
Well said. Thank you very much, man. Like, I know there's a million other things you'd rather be doing right now. I'm glad we got to at least hear some things from your perspective, get to know your journey a little bit more. And I feel like we could do this for another hour because there's so much to talk about. But, you know, like most things in this sport, these things, these stories, they go away after a while. They become yesterday's news because everything just moves so quickly. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate this. All the best to you, Max. Heal up. And I think this experience, like I said, is just going to help you grow so much more than if you went out there and submitted Austin in 90 seconds. So thank you again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.